Ed handling adversity is actually a great topic to talk about. But first and foremost, it's important for people to understand that because of Ed's leadership and our parents' confidence in the school, he didn't have to handle adversity very often. In large part, that is because of his style. Lots of people know that Ed often plans for the worst, and so it was not very often that a adverse circumstance would have surprised him. He's very well connected in the independent school community, so he was always checking in with folks about things going on at their schools. He reads a lot. He's very well connected to parents in the school, certainly to the Board of Trustees, so he asked a lot of questions. So he was very rarely surprised by anything that could have an adverse impact on the school. Still, in the event that he did learn of something, and actually most people know that Ed most often planned for the worst, so again, he's rarely surprised by anything that he should have known about. But when things did come up, he approached a problem as he always approached it. Steady is a word that parents often use to describe his leadership, and I think that's apt. He was also thorough in thinking through things. He'd ask questions, he'd talk to people, gather lots of information, and then he was decisive. I remember one example in particular. Schools in particular were being warned to prepare for a significant outbreak of H1N1 flu. Ed was well out in front of the issue, ahead of other schools certainly, in talking to people what to expect, how best to deal with it, were it to hit the school. And teachers were prepared, parents were prepared. It didn't happen in the way that it was projected to happen, which was great, but had it happened, the school would have been ready, thanks to Ed's planning and leadership. Even his investigation and his thoughtfulness couldn't have prepared anybody for the economic collapse in 2008, and I think that's the adversity that Ed probably faced. It was the toughest challenge in the last few years, and one in which, a situation in which I think he did really good work. Again, he used his sources. He talked to lots of people, including lots of people in the community here, always with the focus and the intention to protect what he knew what was most important, and that was the educational experience of our children here. And he did what he could to make sure that even families that were impacted most by the economic collapse had the chance to stay. He immediately worked on increasing the financial aid budget, even came up with a kind of grant referred to as a recession grant, intended to help those families who wanted to stay, but for him it was tough. And with some belt tightening among a very committed group of faculty and staff, also very important to Ed that everyone knew that it was his intention and this board's intention for everybody to hold on to their jobs, because again, that was what made the educational experience for the kids what it was. And because of that leadership, and again, because of our family's confidence in the school and commitment to their kids' education, the crisis was not for DA what it could have been for other places, and would have been, I think, absent his good planning. So again, that was a circumstance in which Ed, I think, did some of his finest work in the face of adversity.